Live, the show where we talk about the tools, tips, tricks, and strategies and skills to help you and I be those high performers that God has created us to be. It's great to have you here. Welcome and thank you for joining. Let me start by saying Happy New Year to you. Yes, let me be one of the first people to say Happy New Year to you. Happy year 2024. I pray that the new year is a year of those unimaginable blessings for you and your family. Just want to say congratulations and welcome to the new year. It's great to have you here. This is High Performance Live. Every time that we go live like this, we're always talking about the tools and strategies to help us be those high performers that God has created us to be. And we always start, first of all, with our high performance review for the week. We are in a very exciting season, just wrapping up the year 2023 and getting into the new year, the year 2024. So, what are you grateful to God for this week? What is that lesson that you're learning this week? Sorry, excuse me. What are you grateful to God for this week? What is that lesson that you're learning this week? And what are you looking forward to in the new year, in the new week? I really want to know. I want to hear from you. And what I'm grateful to God for is the opportunity to be here with you again in another high performance live session. The lesson that I'm learning this week is reigniting your wealth instincts. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in a couple of minutes. Reignite your wealth instincts. And what I'm looking forward to in the new year is the day one webinar. I've been talking about it for a while now. We just have few more hours, less than 72 hours, I think about 48 hours into the new year, January 1st, year 2024. I've been talking about the importance of not letting the new year happen to you. Don't allow the year 2024 happen to you. You strategically position yourself to happen to the year. And that's what the day one webinar is all about. I'm going to be teaching you how to rule in the new year, and I'm going to be teaching you how to live your rich life in the year 2024. Just powerful, exciting stuff, sharing with you skills and strategies that you need to put in place so that you are well equipped to take full advantage of the year. That's what the day one webinar is all about. For me, I've just been seeing how it is, to come back to that place where you are able to put a strategy in place. Sorry, I was reading, I think it's Tribe of Mentors or Tool of Titans. Yes, yes, Rahila, to live your rich life. Absolutely. It's going to be a very, very powerful and insightful time. I was reading Tim Ferriss's, I think, Tool of Titans or Tribe of Mentors. I can't remember which one. And he shared this a quote by the general that wrote The Art of War. And he says, strategy without tactics, is the slowest route to victory, while tactics without, wait, what did I say now? Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory, while tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. And for me, that's just so powerful, right? That is about having the tactics and also having the strategy in place to win in the year 2024. I know that you know the importance of setting goals. I know that you already have your goals set for the year. What I'm really, really concerned about is for you to win in the new year, and that's why you need to be part of the day one webinar. Just in the comment, just type the words day one, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. Just say day one, and I'll make sure that you have the link to be part of that great and awesome webinar. It's going to be on the January 1st, on Monday, January 1st, 7 p.m. West African time. You want to be part of it. Let's come together and put these tactics and strategies in place to win in the new year. So that's my own high performance review. What is your own review for the week? What are you grateful for? What is that lesson that you are learning? And what are you looking forward to in the upcoming week? Is the holiday season. Monday, Tuesday was Christmas. I'm sure you were at home. You had your wonderful time with yourself or with your family. And what are you grateful to God for? What is that lesson that you are learning in this season? I know that this is a time of deep reflection. deep planning, thinking about all how the year 2023 has been, and also just projecting and forecasting for the new year. Let me know, what are those lessons that you are learning, and then more importantly, what are you looking forward to even as we go into the new year, right? What are you looking forward to? What are your expectations? What are your expectations? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your goals? Even as we go into the new year, please share them here. That's why we're here, as in the high performance community, to keep charging and encouraging ourselves, even as we move closer to all those goals that we want to see achieved. So that's it. I said I'll be talking about reignite your wealth instinct. Reignite your wealth instinct. That's what I'm going to be talking about in the next couple of minutes. And I'll just start with, like this, that exactly 22 years ago, yes, exactly 22 years ago was the year I had my second stint with serious academic failure. That's specifically, I think that's 2001. Yeah, 2001. In ABU Zaria, I was studying biochemistry then. We had just come back. Interestingly, I was just thinking about sharing this. And interestingly, it so happened that it was also just after the holiday period like this, just the first week after the Christmas and the New Year break, we got back to school. And here I was standing in front of the notice board in my department and looking at my results from the previous session. This was 200 level, so I was looking at my results from 100 level, and it was just a colorful landscape of P's and just, I think, maybe one or two C's, and then I had two courses I was going to have to carry over into the new session. Trust me, I was seriously devastated. I think out of a great cumulative grade point average of 5 points, my CGPA was I think 1.59, to show you how bad it was. 1.59 out of 5 points. That was my CGPA from 100 level coming into 200 level. As in, I was so discouraged. I was so devastated. And I remember that, okay, I just told myself, okay, what am I going to do now? I remember that I managed to drag myself from the department. You know how every other person is looking at their results and you sneak past so that you don't want anybody to ask you, how was it? Or how did you do? And all that. So you sneak past everybody, and I just headed straight for the boys' hostel. And I got to the boys' hostel, and I was sitting that's on the park bench in front of the hostel. For, if you know ABU Zaria very well, you know the boys' hostel in Samaru campus, which is Suleiman Hall. That was where I was sitting. And I was just reflecting and just thinking about everything that happened, thinking about my life. And it was while I was thinking and reflecting that this subtle voice just dropped in my heart and said, you are not a failure until you find someone else to blame. And honestly, that was the turning point for me. That was the turning point for everything concerning my academics in school. You can imagine that somebody that had a cumulative grade average of 1.59, now that next session, he's having a cumulative grade point. I forgot how he said, the CGPA or GPA of about 4 points. It was just a light and day difference. And I wish I could just say that, okay, just that one word I heard in my heart, oh, you are not a failure until you find someone else to blame, was the one thing that changed everything. But if I must be sincere, that would be painting an incomplete story. What that voice just helped me to realize is my own part in the success equation, the responsibility I had to take on if I was going to see a turnaround in my academics. And the reason why I share this story is because we are at a critical time too, like that right now, where the year is ending and we're about to go into a new year. There are so many similarities with this story that I didn't even think about. It's like you are ending 100 level, you're about to get into 200 level, right? Or let's imagine that 100 level is 2023. Now we're about to get into 200 level, which is 2024. Whichever way, you might say, no, me, I'm not a 100 level, me, I'm a 500 level. Okay, we agree. You're a 500 level. Whatever it is, you are in one level and you're about to get into another level. And the every time the prayer, the desire is that the next level will be the higher level, right? That it will not be lower, it will be a higher level. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that at a critical point like this, where we are about to transit, where we're about to move from one level to another, is coming back to that place where we ask ourselves the critical questions that what responsibility, what is my part if I'm going to succeed at this next level that I desire? Be it in your finances, be it in your business, be it in your health, be it in your academics, be it in whatever, is coming back to that place where we say, what is my responsibility for this next level that I desire? Because as we are these next couple of days that we're going to be engaging in personal retreats or corporate retreats, where we'll be going to church or going to certain meetings, getting on online sessions like this, and just talking and putting our heads together, talking about the year that is ending and talking about the new year that is coming. What is going to happen is that we are going to get a lot of insights, a lot of exciting and interesting insights about the year that is ahead of us. But the difference between the people who see a transformation in the new year and the people who don't, despite getting those interesting insights, those exciting insights about the new year, is that thing called responsibility. And now that's what I'm going to be talking about just in the next couple of minutes. What is your responsibility to see that transformation that you desire in the year 2024? What is that specific responsibility that you have to put in place if you are going to see a definite transformation in the year 2024? And the responsibility that you have are basically four things. Number one, you have the responsibility to reignite curiosity. You have the responsibility to reignite curiosity. Now, this is very, very important because many times when we go through stuff, I don't know how 2023 might have been for you. Perhaps you encountered something that you were not anticipating. You faced one form of disappointment or one form of setback or something. And you are just maybe in that place where you are feeling a little bit bitter, you are feeling a little bit hot, you are feeling a little bit upset. My own charge and my own encouragement to you is that whatever you do, do not let go of your curiosity. We are about to get into the new year, and the only way you can maximize the new year is to reignite your curiosity again. Because most times when people are disappointed or discouraged, what happens is that their first instinct is to stop learning. Because that's what curiosity is all about. Their first instinct is to say, "But I'm not interested. What's the use anyway?" And so they stop learning. They give up on life. Now, when we say give up on life, many people think, "Oh, they stop working hard. They stop putting in the effort." That's not what it is. There are many hardworking people who have actually given up on life. They are very hardworking, putting in the effort, but they have given up on life. How do we know that they have given up on life? Because they have stopped learning. Learning is living, and living is learning. The key is curiosity. Whatever it is, especially in the area of your finances or in whatever area of your life, you need to come back to that place where you say to yourself, how am I reigniting my instinct for curiosity even in this new year that we're getting into? Because that's what's going to make the difference. Whatever thing that you are going to be see in your bank account is going to be dependent on your level of learning. And now when I say learning, I'm not talking about setting the goal for reading one book every week or finishing one book every week in the year 2024. There is going to be a lot of stuff like that going on online. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about the fact that, are you learning the things that are critical for your future? Are you learning the things that are critical for the future that you are trying to build? Think about it. When you were in school, or I don't know, maybe if you are still in school, think about it. Did you finish all the textbooks that were recommended for you to be able to earn or bag your degree? Absolutely no. I'm sure there are some of the textbooks that probably you didn't even read more than half for you to be able to get your degree. So that's what we're talking about. It's not about setting that goal of, oh, I must finish one book every week, even though that is great. But we're saying what are those things that are critical for your future? Are you learning those things, and are you learning those things seriously? This is not the time to, to be learning things that you are interested in. This is not even the time for you to be learning the things that you are passionate about. I'm saying that, and I'm wondering that, Kayode, are you the one actually saying something like this, that this is not the time for you to be learning things that you are passionate about? I'm telling you that this might not be the time for you to be learning the things that you're passionate about. This is the time for you to ask yourself that what exactly are your pain points, and how am I turning those pain points into learning projects? Because that's what it is. When you were in school and you had that chemistry exam, you weren't picking up a cookbook and just say, "Oh, it's great for me to read this cookbook and to finish it." You knew that the chemistry exam was ahead of you, and you knew that you had to put your head down and study that chemistry because it was critical to you graduating. And that's what it is, that many times, many of us now, we have left school and we have become so casual. We have forgotten many of these principles that we had to apply to get to this level that we are. And so that's what it is reigniting that instinct for curiosity, my friend, and saying that, how am I taking my learning seriously? I love the way the psalmist David, he put it in Psalm, I think, chapter 37. You can go read it in the Message Bible. He says, the righteous takes hold of wisdom like dog on a bone. As in, for me, that image is so so graphic that I can't get it out of my head. It says the righteous takes hold of wisdom like dog on a bone. You know how a dog is with their bone. You come near them and you are, as in telling you, don't you dare approach. Right now, this thing that I'm doing is serious business. And so that's just what it is. That's just what it is. It's coming back to that place of saying that, am I taking my learning seriously? Am I making my learning serious business? Because that's what is going to what is going to determine your entrance, your access to that next level, to that transformation that you truly, truly desire. The second responsibility that you have as we go into the year 2024 is the responsibility to reignite creativity. The responsibility to reignite creativity. That's just what it is. It's coming back to that place where you say to yourself that it's not about trying to do things better, but how can I do things differently? That's it. Not about doing things better, but how can I do things differently? There's something that is called the law of category, and that is finding that space where you can be number one in, instead of trying to beat the competition, instead of trying to be better than the competition. Is finding that place where you can stand out, where you can be different. How can you zig while other people are zagging? And it all comes back to that place of creativity. Yes, there is a lot of talk about AI. There's a lot of talk about many things going redundant, about the world moving at a very, very fast pace, about even very big technology companies shutting down, firing workers, and things that we were sure of, we are no longer sure of anymore. It's coming back to that place of saying that, see, how am I being creative? What am I creating? Because whatever turmoil or whatever chaos that is happening, guess what's happening? With every chaos, there is always opportunity that is being created. With every crisis, there is always opportunity that is being created. It's the law of life, it's the law of polarity. With every north, there is a south. With every east, there is a west. With every crisis, it is just there. There must be the opportunity. It's not fancy talk, it's not motivation, it is truth. But the only people who will take advantage of those opportunities are the people that are creating something, are the creative people. And so that's what it is. You and I are created, we're created in the image of God. God is a creator. Being creative should come to us naturally. But why? We still struggle. Why? Because many times we are trying to make things to be perfect. We want things to be perfect. So we have this idea, okay, of how things should look, of creating that perfect product, of creating that perfect picture, of creating that perfect video, of creating that perfect blog post. I see. These days I see certain pictures on Instagram and I'm just like, wow. Like, wow, the amount of work it would have taken to create this picture. I just can't even begin to imagine. Yes, there is the thing about AI and all that. Yes, just doing the thing and making it look quick and sharp. But there are some of those pictures that you see and you just know that a lot of work has gone into making this picture. From number one, how the hair was made, to the makeup that was put together, to the clothes that, as in how many times those clothes had to be changed, how many times those clothes had to be adjusted for everything to come out looking perfect and looking, like you want to lick your screen when you see that picture. And so that's just what it is. That so because many times we are carried away by many of those things that we see, we are in that place where we always put down any idea because as far as we're concerned, this thing doesn't look perfect. It doesn't look glammed up. It doesn't look like things that people will buy into. And my own charge and my own encouragement to you is that, see, if you can't come up with 10 ideas, come up with 20. I love the way that there's this guy called James Altucher. I also read it in Tim Ferriss's Tribe of Mentors. That's where he says, hey, if you can't come up with 10 ideas, come up with 20. And you're wondering, I don't understand. If I can't come up with 10 ideas, then how am I supposed to come up with 20? Now, the idea is that you should come up with as many bad ideas as possible. Come up with as many bad ideas as possible. Come up with as many ridiculous ideas as possible. And the more bad ideas you come up with, the more likely the good ones will show up. But if you are telling yourself, oh, I want to come up with that perfect good idea, that one that looks so perfect, that looks like it's going to work, at the end of the day, what is happening is that you are preventing your creativity. So at the end of the day, is that as the ideas are coming, put it down. Yes, Raela, you're laughing. I'm sure you can relate with that, but that's just what it is. That don't stop focusing on it being perfect. Look, the truth about it is that at the end of the day, the real advantage that you and I are going to have over AI is the fact that we aren't perfect. It sounds so ridiculous, but that's just the truth. The real advantage that you and I are going to have over AI is the fact that we aren't perfect. Is the fact that you and I don't have it all together. Is that the fact that you and I don't have it all figured out. Yeah, Rayla, as in, it's not that as I'm talking to you, it's not that it's dawning on me, but that's just what it is. I was still reading, I was still reading the book of Psalms, and David is just such an amazing guy, and his depth of wisdom blows your mind. And he talks about how he's been trying to connect with God, and he has been trying to make himself look also perfect, look also arranged, look like he has everything figured out, to feel very, very spiritual, because God is a spirit, right? So he has to be very perfect and spiritual to relate with God. And he gets to that place where he's just like, it's not working. It's not working. Something is missing. You know how they say you are like you are washing your leg with your socks on. You just know that something is not right. And eventually he just gets to that place where he says, you know what, I give up. Now I'm ready to talk about the stories of my failure. It's right there. I think in Psalm 37 or 38, I can't remember. He said, now, you know what, I'm ready to talk about the stories of my failure. And that's just what it is, that is getting to that place where you are willing to be open, where you say, this is how it is really. This is how it is. These are the things that I'm struggling with. These are the things that these are the things that I'm fighting. These are the things that I'm overcoming. And the willingness to share that with other people, to share that story, that thing that you are afraid of, that is the thing that you need to go after this year 2024. That thing that scares you, that thing that you don't feel qualified for, that you don't feel capable of. If we are going to see the next level in our finances, it's about saying to ourselves, how am I challenging myself beyond my current capabilities, beyond my current capabilities? That's just what it is. You look at children, how they go out there, they are reaching for things, trying to do things. They are not asking if they are capable of doing, they are not asking if they are qualified to do it. They just go ahead and do their thing. And so that's just it, that many of us are waiting for people to give us permission, to give us their approval, to tell us that we are capable of doing certain things before we do it. I'm just here to tell you that no one knows what you are capable of. No one knows what you are actually capable of. Your parents don't. your guidance counselor that you had in school doesn't know what you are capable of. The people around you don't know what you are capable of. Even your pastor doesn't know what you are capable of, because most times what happens is that people's ideas about us is usually based on the things that they know about our past or that they know about our present. Even you have no idea what you are capable of. I love the way the wise King Solomon puts it. He says that, we're looking at people to tell us who we are, to tell us what we are capable of, people who themselves don't even know who they are. So it's very interesting. You are looking up to people for their approval, for their acceptance, for their applause, and these same people themselves trying to figure out who they are, and you're expecting them to tell you who they are. And the wise King Solomon likens it to, trying to get direction from a likens it to somebody trying to get direction from a tumbleweed. There are people who can't tell the difference between a trail and a tumbleweed. You've seen it in those Western movies, right? A tumbleweed is just, most times when they show them in the movie, it's just that thing that the wind is blowing that rolls across the wide of the screen, and that's all. They are plants, but they are plants that don't have roots. That's how ridiculous they are. And so to imagine that we are trying to to discover our identity, to figure out our roots from people who themselves are still trying to figure out those things. And so for me, that's just why it's so important that, you come back to that place to say, where you say to yourself, no one truly knows what you are capable of. No one knows the things that you are capable of achieving. It's time for you to see yourself as God sees you. It is God that looks at someone who is hiding and calls the person a mighty man of valor. It's only God that does that, right? Someone who is hiding for his dear life away from enemies, and God shows up and says to him, you are a mighty man of valor. Go ahead and do that thing that you are scared of. And here he is, he's trying to make excuses for God. And the guy is saying, like, I don't understand what you are talking about. I know the things that I invested in you. So it's only God that truly knows what you are capable of, that knows what it's inside you. And the only way you can know is if you try, is if you dare things. You never know except you try. You never know what you are capable of except you try. And so, it's coming back to that place where you say to yourself that anything that you have set for yourself in this year 2024 that you are actually capable of achieving is just a task, is not really a goal. Any goal that you have set for yourself this year 2024 that right now you have the capacity and the capability to achieve is not a goal, it's just a task. It's just a walk in the park. We're talking about you saying to yourself that, are you daring things that right now you feel, are these things going to be? How am I going to actually do it? I feel unqualified to do something like this. Let me just quickly give you this other example. You remember Esther, right? How there was the trouble, the turmoil going on in the palace in that region, and that the entire nation of the Jews were going to be killed. And then her uncle Mordecai sends the message to her and says, "Hey, this is what is happening, do something." And Esther, as usual, sends an excuse and says, there's nothing I can do. You can only go before the king if he sends for you, and he has not sent for me in the past 30 days. And everybody knows that it is forbidden to go before the king. If you try it, you will die. And Mordecai is saying, what are you talking about? This is why you are queen. You are queen for such a time as this. That is why you are there. If you don't dare, if you don't try, don't think that you are going to be safe, just snug and safe in your comfort zone. Help is going to come from somewhere else, and you would have lost your position. And that's just what it is. And she goes back eventually. Her eyes is open to the fact of what he said, and he says, okay, you know what? I will go ahead and do it. If I perish, I perish, but I'm going to take the step. And for me, that's just what it is, that the courage, to take that step, the courage to say to yourself that if I perish, I perish, but I'm going to take the step. Because at the end of the day, the question we need to ask ourselves is that it's not, am I afraid to take this step? The question is, what is the alternative? The kind of question you ask determines the kind of answer that you get. If you ask quality questions, you will get quality answers. If you ask rubbish questions, you will ask rubbish answers. So it's not about asking ourselves the question, oh, am I scared of taking this step? Or am I afraid to do this thing? The question is, what is the alternative? The question is, what is the alternative? And the alternative is that you are for the person to remain the same as it was in 2023. And you and I know deep down right now there is something stirring up in your heart that 2024 cannot afford to be the same way as 2023 was. I know you feel it because I feel it in my own heart too. That you are saying to yourself, 2024 cannot, it can never. In fact, the person that will tell you that it will be the same, like my wife like to say, you will punch the person in the throat. You punch the person in the throat. And so I'm trying to tell you that the only way that is that to reignite courage again, to dare to go after those things, to dare to take that step. That's how we see that change that we want to see. The final thing that we need to reignite, we've said reignite curiosity, reignite creativity, reignite courage, and then the final thing is to reignite contribution. We all have the instincts, to contribute, to serve one another, to be kind to one another, to do good to people. But most times what happens is that the things that we go through get us to that place where, we end up becoming ingrown, we withdraw into our shell and all that. But one thing that you discover is that despite everything that is happening in the world, you still see those instincts show up. You live in a very busy metropolitan city like Lagos, where everybody just looks like they're on the go chasing something. But you even still in this city like Lagos, that it looks like every man for himself. How did they say that? I can't even remember. Every man for himself, God for us all, I think, or something like that. And you feel like nobody wants to give you any mind, nobody cares about you and all that. Try this experiment. Walk up to a group of people and just tell them that, I've missed my way, I'm lost. Oh my God, I've never seen it before. How do I put it? Not that I've never seen it before. I'm surprised every time with the reaction I get. Anytime that maybe I happen to be driving and I just meet a group of people and say, oh, please, I'm trying to find so and so place. The interesting thing is that if you meet a group of 3 people, if you meet a group of 4 people, if you meet a group of 5 people, and you tell them you are lost, and all the 5 people know the direction, all of them want to explain to you how to get to where you are going. As in, you just see that eagerness coming out within them. One person, they are all together. It's not as if you are meeting them separately. They are all together in that cluster. And one person is already explaining to you. The other person is saying, it's like that. When you say, or another person says, no, it's not like that. You go. I think there's just that eagerness and that excitement. And it just tells you how deep down, under the rubble of all the things that we have gone through in life, is still that instinct to contribute. No matter how wicked you say that person is, deep down there, that instinct is still there. And what I'm just trying to say is that if we are going to see the next level in our finances, we need to reignite that instinct again. And not just the instinct of contribution, but to reignite the instinct of joyful contribution, to contribute with joy, to serve with joy, to do the things that you know that you should be doing with joy on behalf of other people. That's just what it is. Because if there's one thing that we all want to feel needed. That's just the truth. Even the person that is feeling like, oh, I'm self-sufficient, I don't care about anybody, deep down is that thing that is crying that, please make me feel needed. All this noise about AI that is going on, about AI stealing jobs, on the surface, it looks like money. But behind that money is that feeling of, you mean I'm not going to be needed? I'm not going to be needed anymore. That's the real fear. The real fear is not the money. We say, yes, it's money, but the real fear is not the money. The real fear is that I will not be needed. I will not be needed. But here am I to tell you that, see, no matter the AI, no matter the alphabets or anything that is happening, you are needed. The world needs you. God needs you. The fact that you exist is proof that you are needed, and it's coming back to that place of saying to yourself, what is that thing that you are contributing to the world? Think about it. All the billionaires that have all the money in the world, that as far as they are concerned, they don't need to work they don't need to work for the rest of their life until they die. Every day they are still getting up with a spring in their step, going to the office, doing business deals. Yes, you say, okay, it's because money is never enough, but it's not about the money. The truth about it is that the thing that gets them excited to wake up every morning is what? Is the fact that they are needed. It's the fact that they are needed. They know the amount of families that are dependent on them. They know the amount of people that are dependent on them. And just that thought is what keeps them going. And so here am I to tell you that start thinking like them. Stop waiting until the money hits your account before you think that you are needed. Start thinking like somebody that is needed. That's the way the money will find its way into your account. That's the difference maker. There is a contribution. I know that you have been rejected. I know that many people have made you feel like you don't have anything value to offer because you have been calling, they refuse to pick your call. You sent emails, they didn't reply your emails. You sent messages, nobody responded. Now you are in that place where you feel like, oh, I have nothing valuable to offer. I'm trying to tell you that it's the biggest lie ever. It's the biggest lie ever. There is nobody who is financially successful that has not had to deal with that thing of overcoming rejection from people not understanding what they are about, not understanding the things that they are about. The difference is that they didn't allow the rejection stop them. They kept on putting in their contribution, whether anybody understood it or not, until eventually it's what we are seeing as it is today. And so my own charge and my own encouragement is whatever is your contribution, make your contribution to the world. The world needs you. God needs you. It's St. Augustine that made this very powerful quote. He said that without God, we can't. Without God, we can't. And without us, God can't. So that just shows that God needs you. God needs me. He has no hands other than your hand. He has no legs other than your hand. He has no mouth other than your mouth. Without you, there are certain things that he wants to see accomplished in the life of people. And until you take that step, until you make that contribution, it will not happen. I love the story about Mordecai, still in the book of Esther. He says that Mordecai worked hard for the good of his people. He cared about the peace and the prosperity of the nation of Israel. There is no how you care about the peace and prosperity of people that you will not enjoy peace and prosperity. That's just the truth. There is no how you care about the wealth of people that you yourself will not enjoy wealth. There is no how that you help people discover their wealth that you yourself will not see wealth in your life. And that's just what it is. Reignite creativity, reignite curiosity, reignite creativity, reignite courage, and finally reignite contribution. That's our responsibility as we go into the year 2024. If we are going to see that transformation that we truly, truly desire, and just on the note to end this session, my own charge and my own encouragement is that just think about it. Well, whatever that you might have experienced in this year 2023, or maybe even in the past, in terms of maybe being discouraged or being disappointed, or you try certain things and it didn't work out like you hoped or like you expected. My own charge is that just consider somebody, and you probably know the story, and that person is called Moses. This is somebody that was born in Egypt, was raised in the palace, was attended the finest schools in Egypt, was next in line to be king, and then life happened to him. He killed somebody. It's a different thing. It's a different thing if you are talking about the failure of the person couldn't get a good job, or the person couldn't run a successful business, or the person couldn't hold a steady marriage. We're talking about murder. This person murdered somebody and he had to flee for his life. Talk about being a murderer and also being a coward. And it was like that was the end of his story. Nothing good was ever going to come out from this life. This was somebody that every other person admired his position, envied his position before, but he was reduced to almost nothing. For 40 years, he was in the desert leading sheep. somebody that was supposed to rule a nation, he was reduced to leading sheep. And to think about it, that Moses, when if Moses was talking about the fact that he was a stammerer, and I'm saying, like, obviously he would stammer because he didn't have anybody to talk to. The bleating of sheep sounds like stammering, right? I remember my wife showed me a very humorous clip on Instagram of a guy that lives alone, and he was talking about how you are alone for a couple of days, and because you don't have anybody to talk to, you have to test whether you can still talk again. And the sound he made actually sounded like the bleating of sheep. It sounded like stammering. And that's just what it is, that this person had hit rock bottom to the point that it was not just enough for people to write him off. He himself had written himself off. But at the age of 80, 40 years later, God came looking for him and said, see, you know what? There is something that I've put inside you. Those instincts that are inside you are coming out right now. And that's just my own charge and my own encouragement to you, that, see, these instincts are inside you, no matter how deep down they are buried, no matter how far you think you are falling. Those instincts cannot be killed. They can be buried, but they never be killed. They are alive and kicking. And it's your willingness to reignite these instincts that will be the key to that turnaround and that transformation that you seek. If Moses could turn his life around at 80, after 40 years of failure, what is that thing that can prevent you from turning your own life around, from turning your own finances around? It can absolutely happen. If it can happen for him, it can also happen for you. And that's just my own charge and my own encouragement to you, even as we go into this year 2024, that this is the time for you to release your expectation again, because those instincts are there inside you. The instincts for success, the instincts for wealth are alive and kicking inside you. Just reignite them. Reignite curiosity, reignite creativity, reignite courage, reignite contribution. And I can't wait to see those great things that 2024 has in store for you and has in store for me. So that's it. Thank you for being here, for this wonderful time we've had together. If you have any questions, please feel free, drop them in the comments. I will attend to the question. Don't forget, the day one webinar is coming up January 1st, Monday, January 1st, 7 p.m. West African time, where we're going to be dealing with the strategy to help you rule and live your rich life in the year 2024. You don't want to miss it. You can send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll make sure that you have the link and the details to be part of that webinar. Look out for the newsletter coming out in a couple of days. New video, new content, everything coming out. Do well to share this stuff with other people. Share it with other people. I know that they will be grateful to you. It's a wonderful way to start the new year. Don't keep these things to yourself. Share them with somebody else, and I'm sure they will be grateful to you that you did. Happy New Year once again. Enjoy a wonderful time with your family. The new week, the weekend that we're going into, the new year that we're going into. Have a great time. Enjoy yourself. Talk to you very soon. Your greatness is very sure.